Shalom Aleichem for Rosh Chodesh Elul, really the first day of Rosh Chodesh Elul. It's still the 30th day of Menachem Av. Tomorrow is the first day of Elul. We have a 2-day Rosh Chodesh. We're just 1 month out from Rosh Hashanah. We are in chapter 8 of Bava Kama, Mishnah Gimel, Hamakei et aviv et imo. Someone strikes his father or mother, v'lo asavahen chabura, but he does not make a wound, doesn't draw blood, doesn't make a bruise. V'chova b'chaver b'yom kippurim, where he injures his fellow on Yom Kippur. Chayev b'chulan. He has to pay all of the categories of damages. Remember, the damage itself, the pain, the medical expenses, the unemployment, and any embarrassment. Here, the act that was done is not a capital offense, so we do not apply the concept of kimle b'derabba b'nei, that because he's liable for a capital offense or liable to lashes, that he would not also have to pay. Actually, tomorrow in Mishnah Hay, we'll mention cases where we do say that since the person's chayev a capital offense, they've done something seriously wrong to be chayev death, that they would not pay. And the Mishnah here goes on, chovel be'eved ivri. Someone injures in eved ivri, chayev b'chulan, has to make all of the payments, chutz min shevet, but not unemployment, bizman shu shelo, when the eved ivri is working for the attacker, the one who did the wound. Now, you're not supposed to wound your eved ivri. You're not supposed to wound anyone. The Torah is not giving us permission to hurt someone else and then pay the compensation and pay the damage and the medical expenses. That's not allowed. It's still an aveira. It's still completely wrong. But if Ruvain was working for Shimon as his eved and Shimon hurts Ruvain, well, the unemployment really, because Lamaisa, he was working for him, the unemployment would go back to himself, but the other damages would go to the victim. Achova eved Kanani. Now, Eved Kanani is a little bit different. Shalacherim, that somebody else has the rights to the work of this person, this Eved Kanani. Chayiv b'chulan, he has to pay all of the categories of damage. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ein levadim boshet. Rabbi Yehuda says they don't have a concept of boshet. Really, he learns this out from the pasuk. It says ish be'achiv. It says like a regular Jewish man and his achiv, his brother, his fellow Jewish man, not an Eved Kanani. However, the other rabbis disagree with him. They say an Eved Kanani is chayev b'mitzvot. He has to keep the commandments that are not time-bound, the commandments lo taseh. He has to keep Shabbos. He has to keep kosher. We've mentioned, he's already on his way to becoming a full-fledged Jew. When he's freed, he will become fully Jewish, a normal member of Jewish society. So because he keeps mitzvot, he does have a concept of boshet if somebody injures an Eved Kanani. On to Mishnah Daled, Herish, a deaf mute. We've mentioned they could not really communicate. They did not have hearing aids or sign language back in those days. Because they could not communicate, they did not have the same intellectual development as a normal person who could speak and hear. Shote. A shote is somebody who has an intellectual disability or has a mental derangement, where they're not capable of judging their own actions and controlling their own actions. The katan, a minor before bar mitzvah, piyotan ra. Dealing with them, fighting with them, is always bad for the person involved with them. Because if you do any damage to them or their property, you're going to have to pay. You're on the hook. But if these category, the chashak, chereshet did damage to someone else, they are not held liable in court because they do not have the intellectual development or maturity to be expected to prevent the damage. Ha'eved v'ha'isha piyatan ra. Also, an eved kanani, or a married woman, it's also not helpful to deal with them in a way that causes damage, because achova behen chayev. If you cause any damage to them or their property, you certainly have to pay for it. V'hem shechavlu v'cherim paturim. But if they damage someone else, they're patur. Now, really, they are liable in court, but on a technicality, they cannot pay. Is the isha, a married woman, has a joint bank account, but it's really her husband's bank account. As we explained in Ketuvot, that doesn't mean the husband is controlling everything. It means he has an obligation to support his wife with food, clothing, housing, everything she needs. So that's why his name is on the bank account. Of course, we mentioned Ketuvot. If the couple wanted her to have a separate bank account, they could, but the default arrangement was the husband is financially responsible for everything, and therefore any monies that would go to the wife go to him. And if the wife caused damage, the victim can't extract monies from the wife because those monies are in the bank account under the husband's name, not hers. And particularly with an Eved also, it's a similar situation. Masha kana Eved kana Rabo, if the Eved acquires something when he's working for the master, which is always, then it really belongs to the master. He can't really have a private bank account, though we mentioned exceptions. If somebody gives him money on condition his master doesn't get it, then yeah, technically he could have his own separate assets, but that wasn't a common occurrence. It was typically done in order to have him buy his freedom. And at that point, he's a free man and he's back to normal status with everyone else. And the Mishnah explains, of all mishalmin lacharzman, but they could pay after a while, not right now while they're married or still in eved. The Mishnah explains, garsha isha, when the woman gets divorced, when ishtacha ha'eved chayvin l'shaman, then they would have to pay for the damage that they had caused during the marriage or during the term of avdut. Yashar kochachem, a good chodesh. We should see a lot of bracha, a lot of tshuva, a lot of self-improvement during this elul. Tisku the mitzvot.